What it do, what it do, how y'all feeling? Welcome, this is Ash Neil's Radio. I am your host, Ash Neil. That is I, so we talking to y'all. Yes. Now, I don't know if you guys seen the situation. A black man in Florida pulled over by the cops. His window didn't work, so he opened up his door. And, he asked for a supervisor, and they broke his shit. Pulled him out the car, beat the shit out of him, y'all. This is a story that we have to keep covering because it happens all the time. And I know that when these stories come out, you got these people that call motherfuckers race baiters, say, oh, cops don't do that to just black folks. Bro, I don't see this happening to anybody but us. But we're going to go ahead and cover this story because it's getting real big. The video went viral, and now I think there's a lawsuit coming. Hopefully.
Today, there is growing attention on the Sheriff's Department in Jacksonville, Florida, over a viral video of a violent traffic stop involving a black driver. The cell phone footage is from February, but it was just posted this past weekend. And then the body camera videos were released yesterday. Officers say they pulled over 22-year-old William McNeil for not wearing a seatbelt and not turning on his headlights during inclement weather. After McNeil said his window was broken, and an officer told him 4 times to open the door and exit or he'd shatter the glass.
There's no rain.
It doesn't matter. You're still required to have headlights on.
Can you pull that law up?
Huh?
Can you pull that law up?
Yeah, when you step out of the car, I will.
Can you call your supervisor?
Huh?
Can you call your supervisor?
All right, go for it.
Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle! Show me your hand.
Look at his face. Like, bro, they didn't do shit. You pussy. You hit like a bitch. And what was the point of that? What was the point? He asked for the law that states that you have to have your lights on during weather conditions or rain. But if it's not raining, right? Because that's what he said, but it's not raining. The officer said, so what? You got to have it on anyway. You have to have your lights on anyway. Then he said, all right, well, give me your supervisor. Well, nope. Fuck it. Bust his window. Crazy.
Here.
I'm here. What is your reason, sir? What is your reason?
Step out now.
All right. Snatch him up.
No, don't.
Hit him again.
The officers involved are not being criminally charged, but the officer who smashed the window and punched him is suspended pending an internal review. NBC's Aaron Gilchrist is following this story for us. Also with me is Paul Butler, an MSNBC legal analyst.
Remember, this is a traffic stop. He didn't have his lights on. That's why he was pulled over. Give me my ticket, let's go. No? Why do I have to get pulled out of the car? Why are you breaking my window? I'm just contesting the ticket. I thought that, if it was not raining, I didn't have to have my lights on. You, as a field officer, is telling me that. I just want to make sure it's true. Go get your supervisor. Go ahead, bust his window.
And former federal prosecutor. Aaron, Jacksonville sheriff has released that body cam footage that he says provides context for the encounter. So walk us through it, would you?
How does it?
So, Chris, we now have 4 different angles on this incident. The first video we saw over the weekend, the cell phone video from inside the car. Now the sheriff's office has released 3 pieces of body cam video. The piece that you played was from the second officer who arrived on the scene. The officer you saw on the driver's side of the car is Officer Bowers, who was the first officer. And in his body cam video, you see him in his cruiser pulling up behind Mr. McNeil and then getting out, approaching Mr. McNeil's car, at which point he opens the car door and leans out. He says that his window is broken. That's why he's opened the door. And when the officer tells him to get out of the vehicle because he's being pulled over for not having his headlights on during inclement weather, which the law says you have to do in Florida and other places around the country for that matter. And then the interaction escalates after Mr. McNeil shuts the car door, where he's told over and over again, at least 7 times, to get out of the vehicle. And then at this point, after talking with that second officer, you see the window being broken there. The punch happens that we see on the cell phone video. I want you to see a little bit of the body camera video that we've edited just so you can see the progression in the interaction here. Watch this.
Sir, this is your last warning to open the vehicle and exit before we're going to break the window. No, he's under arrest.
What?
Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting.
He talking about arresting me and stuff, bro. I didn't do nothing.
It's called resisting, idiot.
What?
Now, Mr. McNeil also indicates that he's been injured while...
How was he resisting? His hands were right there, like he said. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? How am I resisting? Then you guys pulled him out of the car, took his seatbelt off first, and pulled him out of the car. And he just sitting there right there like, all right, bro, where was the resisting? Man, this is a big-ass lawsuit.
He's handcuffed there, and you hear on one of the body cam videos, you can hear an officer calling for EMS to come to the scene there. Chris, it's important to note that the sheriff says that, again, no criminal charges are being brought here against those officers by the state's attorney. At the same time, his agency, the sheriff's office, is doing an internal review to make sure that no policies for the sheriff's office were violated by the officers involved here. He says that they're trying to do that as quickly as possible, but they've only seen that cell phone video this weekend. The sheriff said he was in church on Sunday when he was made aware of that video's existence, and he immediately started that investigation, the internal investigation, to see whether a policy was violated. And it's something that we're all going to be watching, Chris. Mr. McNeil and his attorneys have indicated that they're going to sue. They have called a news conference for tomorrow where we should hear from William McNeil Jr. himself about this incident, Chris.
Thank you so much for that. So, Paul, I want to play a little bit of what the sheriff said about this.
What do you have to say?
There are things that we definitely need to look at, but the context of this video should tell you everything you need to know. You're not allowed to resist a police officer when he's doing his lawful duties.
Here we go. There we go. The token black cop. The sheriff. Hey, the black guy said it was cool. We didn't do nothing wrong. As you can see on the video, he was resisting arrest. First of all, he wasn't arrested. What was he arrested for? This is a traffic stop. Stop it. This is what they do all the time. Every time there's a chief of police to come out to talk to the community about what happened, it's one of these brothers or sisters. And it's for the community to be like, oh, there was no racial undertone behind this situation. Fuck out.
You don't deserve to get violated, but you deserve to get what's necessary to get you under control and get you and take you into custody.
What?
What do you make of that explanation?
What?
I think it's an excuse for what looks like excessive force for a traffic stop. So the officer did make a lawful order for Mr. McNeil to exit his car. The Supreme Court has decided cases that give cops the power to order any driver or passenger out of the car when they pull over a car. Lots of people don't know that's the law. And Mr. McNeil said he felt unsafe getting out of the car.
Right.
And Chris, what we see next is the opposite of de-escalation. For the cop to then bust open.
We see the opposite of resisting. His hands is clearly in the air. Hey, all right. You bust my window. Shit. I'm right here.
Open the window and punch Mr. McNeil in the face, and then for other officers to join in a beatdown of Mr. McNeil, that looks like police brutality. If Officer Bowers was being prosecuted, the question would be whether he acted reasonably. If Officer Bowers had gone to trial, the jury would be told that they can believe their own eyes.
So what other legal action, either involving Mr. McNeil or involving the officers, do you think is possible?
So we know that there's an administrative review where the Jacksonville police chief will have to ask the question, is Officer Bowers, that's the gentleman who busted open the window, is a person we want walking around our city with a gun and the power to make an arrest. There will also probably be civil litigation. Mr. McNeil will sue the police department. And sometimes in those lawsuits, the plaintiff, in this case, Mr. McNeil, asks for some kinds of reforms or structural change in the police department. In a different context, in a different administration, Chris, we'd also be asking whether this is a case in which the Justice Department might intervene. The Jacksonville Police Department has an indistinguished record when it comes to these kinds of cases. In previous Justice...
Do not count on Trump's Justice Department. Don't hold your breath.
Departments, including the Biden Justice Department, there might have been a pattern and practice investigation. Under President Trump, the Justice Department has gotten out of the business of overseeing police departments for civil rights abuses.
You cannot file a lawsuit against the police department anymore because the DOJ is not taking up those cases. Nope, not this Trump DOJ. And we all can see that that kid got a lawsuit, a major lawsuit. And for this token sheriff to come out and say, oh, you can't be resisting. Bro, clear as day in a traffic stop. Let's say that you are ordered out your car and the police say, hey, we are ordering you out of the vehicle. You, according to the law, have to get out, right? But if you request a supervisor, they are supposed to get you a supervisor. So before hands went on, a supervisor is supposed to be on its way. And by the time they bust the window, because they could have been, having a nice conversation about the fact that the supervisor has been called, but sir, we have to continue this investigation. I honestly don't believe that they believe that window didn't work. No. They, in their head, thought that he was just being, combative, don't want to follow orders, and he just keeping his window up for just to be difficult, right? His window probably didn't work. That's a thing. And for them to use that and be like, he's resisting arrest. First of all, you have to give him a reason for the arrest, right? Right? Why was he arrested? What was he being arrested for? Resist and obstruction are secondary offenses. Yes. The initial arrest, no. You have to have a reason. You have to have probable cause. So, clear as day, there's a lawsuit here. I'm going to follow this case to see what's going on with it. I hope this guy get his justice, because for these cops to, be suspended? Nah. Fire him and charge him. And that's what we mean by don't hold your breath on this Justice Department.